Welcome to the Sharkpreneur Podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Green. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Green is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Green. Today I have the good fortune to be with Elizabeth Green, no relation, from Junglr.com. Elizabeth, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Happy to. So let's go back in time. Before we tell everyone what Junglr is, let's talk about how you got started.
Yeah, origin story. I will try and make this short and sweet. So wanted to make some money online. Lots of different opportunities, almost insanely overwhelming. Tried a bunch of different things. One of those being selling on Amazon. Part of that is advertising on the platform to try and increase sales. Got pretty good at it. Tried to share my knowledge with others. The one thing I love about the Amazon community is everybody's like super open with tactics. It's kind of unique in that way. And so everyone's just like sharing information. I was like, oh my gosh, you guys were amazing. Here's something maybe I can kind of help with because I feel like I figured out something with ads. Led to a couple of brands being like, hey, I can't figure this out. I don't want to figure this out. Can you help me? And I was like, sure. So I did. I like to say I fell into it, then I fell in love with it. So started getting good results. 2 things happened. One, I actually was like, oh crap, maybe I am pretty good at this. And then the second thing was I found out, wow, I actually really love this. I like spreadsheets, weirdly enough. So it was kind of the marriage of, interest and just enjoyment. And then we've been doing it ever since.
Well, congratulations on all of that. I'm sure the longer version of that story could be in a book somewhere if it isn't already. So what does Junglr do for clients and members now?
Yes, still doing the same thing, which is helping brands grow through leveraging Amazon advertising. And we tend to work with more, we call it like founder-led brands, or basically our definition of that is that brands who are growing off of their own cash flow, right? You have enterprise, they're like, all right, I can have 20 grand to dump into this and kind of see what happens. And then you have other brands that are like, I have to be able to reorder. And so I can't lose money. I need to at least make profits somewhere. And so that's where we come in, really partnering with the brands to like help them ideally have their cake and eat it too. Growth and profits. That's what we all want.
Absolutely. So what are some of the most common misconceptions when it comes to Amazon advertising?
Man, oh gosh. I would say maybe not a misconception if you are in the community, but one that maybe sellers aren't fully aware of is that there is this impact on advertising of organic growth. So remember like the OG days of Google when you can like spend a bunch of money on ads and like you can rank your list, your web pages higher. And then Google was like, wow, this is creating a horrible consumer experience. This is not what we want on our platform. We're going to get rid of it. Amazon has kept it. The reason being is because how it works is you need to get a lot of sales through a specific shopper search, and then that will help you rank higher on that search. Amazon doesn't have to care if that's an ad sale or if that's an organic sale, because at the end of the day, you still need to get a sale. So you can't just spam money at something. One, that's not good advertising practice. You shouldn't be throwing money at stuff that's not selling. But at the same time, again, if you are spending money on the things that are driving sales velocity, you can help rank. And because it's all within the same platform, like the ad attribution, it's right there. Like a lot of attributions on other platforms, not that you can't track it, but it's like, do we track it this way? Do we track it this way? Like, what does that look like? And you can still track like path to purchase and multi-touch and all that stuff if you want to, but at the end of the day, you can tell black and white Did I make a sale? Did I not make a sale? Again, because it's all within the same platform.
That makes a lot of sense. Talk a little bit about you have a personalized ad audit. Talk about that.
Yeah, so what we have discovered over the years, I just literally got off of a presentation of one of them, is that like every brand is different, and we've been doing this for a really long time, 6 or 7 years at this point. And so we have seen all of the things, from clothing, supplements is the one I just audited, baby, household goods, higher price luxury items, like, and every single, so the Amazon advertising platform has its nuances. Each category has its nuances, and then each brand has its nuances. Because I just talked about like cash flow with brands, right? One brand might be like, hey, look, I have a lot of startup capital to invest. I got a lot of products. I need to move them. And so we need to be more aggressive. I'm like, fantastic. Let's build that strategy. Versus another brand that's like, hey, so I have this limited capital. I have this much run rate to get it going. We got to play within these parameters or I'm gonna not have cash flow. Fantastic. We can work with that, but that requires a completely polar opposite ad strategy. And so in our experience, it's like there's a lot of really good. I'm not going to say they're bad recommendations. I mean, I have a YouTube channel. I talk a lot about ads, right? You're going to hear some recommendations from me. But really, when it comes down to it and like truly building an ad strategy, it has to have factors of all of those things. Got to know what the heck you're doing with Amazon advertising, which again, doing it for a really freaking long time. I've seen the evolution of the platform. But then also you got to know which each category requires, and you've got to know like how to take a brand goals and translate that into ad strategy.
That makes a lot of sense. You've worked with a lot of different brands over the years. What are some of the, I know you have plenty of case studies and examples. Can you talk a little bit about one or two, one in each category, kind of what their issue was when they came to you, and then that magical transformation you were able to engineer for them?
Yeah, I think one of my most favorite ones to talk about, well, I have two of them. And also one of the most, I want to say it's like been a trial by fire for us, and it's helped us figure out so many things. So we had a brand come to us, clothing. They had really good brand recognition. They had about 50,000 SKUs plus, as you can imagine, immense amount of catalog. In the clothing category, a ton of different variations, which there's a very specific strategy you should be running if you have variation listings and large variation listings. A lot of strategies that people talk about, like, do this amazing deep dive analysis, and they like talk about this whole thing, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Wait, that's going to take me 2 hours, and that's only going to show me the data for one product. Nope, that's not gonna work. And so really that like we onboarded this brand. I want to say it's been 4 or 5 years at this point. So like really stress tested a lot of systems. So now we have like some comes in, they're like, oh my gosh, I have this huge catalog. I'm like, yeah, totally. What's that? Oh, I have like 100 products. I'm like, that's fine. It's cakewalk, right? I mean, not cakewalk, but comparatively at scale, it's not hard. So they came in with just not a lot of segmentation. So as you can imagine with a catalog like that, people are just like, I just need to get ads up. So they're like throwing things in grouped campaigns, a lot of branded mixed with unbranded. And like what they were found to like, I can't figure out how to scale. And they were actually using a software to try and manage it all. And they're like, we're trying to push for growth. We have identified some key opportunities, and like we can't freaking get the software to even spend. It was like ridiculous. They're like the software, it was like budget allocations. Again, a lot of times when a large complex catalog, you're like, oh, hey, software, like, just take my budget and distribute it in a way that makes sense. And it does that algorithmically, but then when you try and be like, okay, so like let's push a little bit more here, let's push a little more here, let's tweak this style. It's like you find out you can't do it. It's like impossible within the system. So that's where a lot of brands, even at a large size, and they're like, hey, we've achieved some success. So they came to us, I think probably like 12 million a year. And at this point, they're doing like 20 million a year. Again, we've worked with them a while. But that's where a lot of that growth in is just like figuring out how do you tackle granularity at a scale that's as complex as that, while still being able to make just those incremental changes that really are the thing that drive brands forward.
That makes a lot of sense. You've achieved lots of success, obviously, for your clients and your agency. What's your biggest challenge now?
Yes, that's a fantastic question. I think the thing that I like to think I'm managing it at this point. And I hope to continue managing it forever, is like obviously as you grow, quality is super important to me. I mean, you heard me talk about like granularity, getting specific and large complexities. I still think that that is how brands grow. With all the developments of AI and algorithms, I mean, we have our own internal algorithm that we've written, like they're working really well. It's like you're always going to have some piece of automation. I think it's dumb to do everything manually. But that being said, like being able to not just be like, simplify it for the sake of simplicity, more like simplifying the things that don't need to be complex and then allowing for complexity in the things that need to be a little bit more complex and nuanced. And really, for me, it's not about trying to make my life harder or the team's life harder. It's more that, like, in all of my years, that's what I've seen drives real results.
Awesome. Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
I like to say it's part art and part science. Like it's super, I want to say data driven and look at so I love digging into it, digging into like the depths of the complexity, feeling like I'm treading water and I can't make heads or tails of it, and then finally emerging after a week and of banging my head against the wall with something that really distills something that's super complex into a really easy to understand framework or formula or nuance. And we've come up with some really amazing like forecasting models and things out of doing that. So I like it because it's like on some point it's cold hard science, but then on the other end of that science is a consumer who's very human, and it's very varied. So it blends those two worlds together quite nicely, I think.
That is awesome. For our folks who are watching or listening, who are Amazon brands and want to learn more about that personalized ad audit, where is the best place for us to send them?
Yeah, so the best place is going to be the website, which is junglr.com, junglr.com. You get to still talk with me, so feel free to get on the phone. I always tell everyone, like, hey, look, I hope it's valuable. Obviously, my goal is to do such an amazing audit. You go, oh my gosh, yes, please, I want to work with you. But either way, we do our best to make it as valuable as possible and as useful to talk to us. And then again, we hope we blow you away enough for you to work with us.
That sounds like a great model, and we know your time is incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some of it with us.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. This has been fantastic.
Our pleasure. This has been Seth Green with Elizabeth Green from Junglr, JUNGLR.com. Thank you all for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.